So would you look at this, it's our first review on the channel, and not only did the game come out in 2018, it's also in early access, which for most is a big no-no. But lockdown had me poor and £10 really didn't seem that bad. Raft is yet another survival game that has me spending more hours making sure I'm not starving. The only difference is I like this game. Oh, and there's a massive shark trying to eat you every 10 seconds. Fun if you like funny shark chases, terrible if you have a crippling fear of sharks. It's not good. So like any good survival game, Raft has its 4 main features: surviving, of course you numpty, building, exploration, and combat. Surviving is pretty average for any kind of survival game here. Your character seems to have the largest stomach on earth and seems to be constantly hungry, a little bit like my cat. Like look, I just ate a whole blimmin' shark and 20 minutes later Dave here is hungry for more. Not only that, he's forever thirsty. Some days I forget to do both and I'm not sodden dead yet, but hey ho, it is what it is. And you know what, it's not too bad. When it comes to gathering food and water, it's fairly simple. You can either fish, or you can just keep poking seagulls with sticks until they, well, die I guess. You can do the same with sharks, but in most cases they'll eat you first. You could also just wait for the seagull to lay an egg with the nest feature, but this was way more fun for me and my friend to chuck hooks over the poor thing like a game of muckers. Either way, getting food is no real challenge unless you again have a fine taste for Bruce the shark. It becomes way more easy once you unlock the upgraded equipment like a water purifier, which allows you to have more water without having to boil it all the time, and a barbecue, which allows you to cook bigger fish that will keep you full for about 5 minutes more. In the end, my girlfriend just became the Raft cook and fisher, whilst I went deep diving and my mate collected all the resources. I do like the option though, once you kill the shark you can just taunt its family members by wearing its head or just stapling it onto the nearest wall. After a while it did become a little tedious, so we opted to start farming more, which is quite well done, especially when you'll find random islands. You'll usually find these seeds for watermelons or some other kind of tropical fruit. When you're farming though, you'll also have to make sure you have a scarecrow to keep those annoying seagulls away, or you could just kill them and eat some wings that night. Tasty. Building in this game is like any survival game, and it can be a little daunting and a little bit of a grind. Nowhere near as bad as a game like Ark, but it still takes a fair while to get everything unlocked. Because unfortunately you're stuck in the sea, unlike most games in this genre, you'll have to grab all these items from the sea with your trusty and very flimsy hook. Honestly, this game makes you think about pollution like, look at all that bloody mess. We did that. Anyway, the more items you find, the more you're able to craft. Obviously. Again, this is a little slow to begin with, but once you start finding islands, you'll pick up new resources, and eventually you'll make a research table, a magical table that allows you to research things. Who'd have thought? Although I don't like how researching actually takes your items, like bruh. But overall, I've got to say, it's not that bad, especially for an early access build. By the end, you can have some really cool contractions and machinery. Not to mention that some of the items actually allow you to go to certain areas a little bit later in the game. You know what, I did like the building in this game, and for the most part it was pretty good. I'd say picking up and placing items takes a little too long though. Yeah, a bit long. I'm sure as the game gets developed a bit more, there'll be a better range of craftable items. But what we have right now is not groundbreaking, but it's not terrible. And some of those contraptions and machine parts were actually a lot of fun to make. Exploration is what I would say is the best part about Raft. Unlike most survival games where you'd stay in one place hidden making sure nothing tries to eat you, Raft just laughs at you and chucks a big shark in your face. You're forever moving along with your surroundings. They are always different. Well, as different as the sea can be. It's always kind of the same and it's always kind of blue. And it's never not scary, with a good range of weathers from storms to terrible winds to no wind at all, which is terrible for a raft. The game gives a real implication of exploration, and you end up wanting to explore, plus you kinda need to. With randomly generated worlds, you never really know what you're going to come across, whether it's another raft or an island. In some cases it could be a huge yacht full of disgusting rats, and me being the numpty I am, most of the time I was never really prepared for those kind of encounters. Oh, and if sharks weren't enough for you, there's also huge bears, which, again, I don't like. The new update also added boards just because the threats weren't enough. I really had a lot of fun when it came to the exploration of islands because it was simple, but it was pretty fun. You can dive into the depths of the coral and search for rare materials, maybe a small cave full of treasure. The big islands were also full of things to do, and you can even find animals that you can take back to your raft and keep them as little pets. Now this is no Red Dead, the content is very simple, but it really has been done quite well. although I'd say the endgame at the moment is a little dead, so I'm sure with more updates and an eventual release, I'd say pretty confidently this game would be full of a good range of content. Combat in this game is a little rough. There isn't really any kind of system, it's just punch, jump and hope you don't die in the process. There aren't too many weapons, just the average spear, maybe a bow and a quirky looking blade. I really hope with more mobs being added, the combat system is also improved. It'd be cool to see something like a kraken that you have to beat up, I guess. It's something that could easily be improved. Most of the time I'd end up just missing the shark and he'd just eat me again, so there isn't really much I can say about the combat. You can kill things, but not very well. Overall, Raft has been one of the best early access games I've played in a very long time, and that's because all the other ones I played were bad. I think this is a bit of fresh air for survival games, and the game looks stunning, especially the sunsets.
Oh, that's nice.
Apart from a few bugs like the fact that your hook will sometimes get stuck and you can't actually pull it back, and sometimes I couldn't get onto the raft properly and the shark would end up eating me, which was really annoying because I could have made that jump. Apart from that, I'd have to say the game is a pretty good experience. I'd also like to say if you're on an older system, the game should run fine. With pretty easy specs and optimization adjustments, my girlfriend's PC is a little bit older and she can run this game just fine. Not to mention the game isn't even a gigabyte, so if you're limited on space, it's also good for that. So if you have a tenner hanging around or you just randomly found one down the back of your sofa, maybe pick up Raft. It will definitely keep you occupied for a fair few hours and it's pretty child friendly with not much blood and guts and adult stuff. That's it for my Raft review. Not a huge game, so not a huge review. If you enjoyed this video, maybe consider subscribing. It's up to you, I'm not going to force you to that. And maybe give us a like if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you guys, and I will see you all in the next one.